The 12th Man Podcast. Let's talk sports, Dub. The 12th Man Podcast.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's Go Dub coming to you live from beautiful College Station, Texas, with your 12th Man Podcast for Week 5. We're going to take a look back at Week 4 games. We're going to take a look at some Week 5 games, and we're going to do the top 3 offensive and defensive performances of the week. This episode of your 12-Man Podcast is brought to you proudly by Aggie Land Cycling. Aggie Land Cycling is an award-winning full-service bike shop located in College Station, Texas. As the oldest local shop, we have helped to keep Brazos Valley residents and Texas A&M students alike rolling for nearly 40 years. We have everything you need from a selection of new bikes, used bike parts and accessories, and knowledge of local cycling. Open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. A mechanic is always on duty to get you back on the road or for routine maintenance. Drop-off and pickup services available for those who can't make it into the shop. Whatever your skill level or riding style, we're happy to help get or keep you on a bike. Hope to see you on the trails, pavement, gravel, or wherever two wheels take you in life. Aggie Land Cycling. All right, starting in the ACC, number 17, Georgia Tech hosts Texas Tech. Georgia Tech pulls out a close one, 40-38. Let's take a quick look at the stats as we jump in there. Georgia Tech had 27 first downs on the day, 506 yards of total offense. They ran 67 plays, averaged 7.6 yards a play. They had 225 rushing yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and threw for 281 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. The Yellow Jackets went 7-12 on third down conversions for 58%. Their defense struggled on third down conversion against the Texas Tech Red Raiders, allowing 8 of 13 third down conversions for 61% completion percentage. Now we jump down to number 8, Ole Miss at Virginia Tech. What a close one, as Ole Miss pulls it out 28-26. Virginia Tech jumped out to a 10-0 lead after one. But Ole Miss stormed back and made it 14-10 before Virginia Tech added a touchdown late to make it 17-14 at the half. Hokies. Ole Miss came strong in the third quarter, made it 28-17 going into the fourth. The Hokies tried to make it interesting, putting up 9 in the fourth. But Ole Miss holds on for the victory. Ole Miss had 18 first downs on the day, 317 yards of total offense. They ran 58 plays, averaged 5.5 yards a play. They rushed for 85 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns and a 3.9 average a rush. Not very good, but better than what it could have been. They also threw for 232 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. But the Rebels struggled on third down, only getting 1 of 8 on the day for 12%. Now we take a look at number 16, Pittsburgh hosting their FCS team at home. They put up 77 points and held their FCS opponent to 9. Let's take a quick look at the stats in that one. Pittsburgh had 27 first downs. They had 675 total yards of offense. They ran 55 plays, averaged 12.3 yards a play. They rushed the ball for 279 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, and added 396 passing yards through the air with 4 passing touchdowns. Third down conversions on the day for the Pittsburgh Panthers, 4 of 7 for 57%. Now we look at number 13, Clemson visiting at Georgia. It was a bloodbath as the Tigers maul the Bulldogs 50-6. We'll jump in here real quick and take a look at these stats. Clemson had 21 first downs to Georgia's 12. Clemson put up 453 yards of total offense, averaging 8.1 yards a play. They rushed for 238 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, while adding 215 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns through the air, and they were 4 of 10 on third down conversions for 40%. Georgia mustered only 232 total yards of offense, averaging 4.2 yards a play. They had negative 30 rushing yards on the day for a negative 2.3 yard a rush in average, and they had 262 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown on the day. Georgia went 5 of 12 on third down for 41%. Now we jump into Tennessee at Arizona State. Arizona State gets the win, 38-35 in a close one. Score from the Big 12, number 9, Texas A&M hosting Illinois at home. And they pull out the victory 58-3 as it was all defense for the Aggies on the day. Texas A&M holds Illinois to only 197 total yards of offense, 69 rushing yards, and only 128 passing yards on the day. No touchdowns for the Illinois Illini. Texas A&M had 37 first downs while only giving up 11 to Illinois. They ran 70 total plays for 593 total yards of offense, averaging 8.5 yards a play. They had 220 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 373 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. The Aggies were 5-7 on third down conversions on the day for 71%, while holding the Illinois Illini to 5-14 for 35%. Auburn beats Kansas State in another close one, 38-21. Over to the Big Ten, number 24, Michigan visiting Maryland. The Terrapins didn't even put up a fight as the Wolverines walk out of Maryland with a 31-7 victory. 16 first downs for the Wolverines on the day, 375 total yards of offense. They had 72 total plays ran for a 5.2 yard average. They had 164 rushing yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and they threw for 211 yards through the air and 1 passing touchdown. The Wolverines had 18 third downs on the day and converted 11 of them for 61%. Number 1, USC hosting Penn State. USC pulls out the victory 24-14. Let's take a quick look at the stats from that game. USC put up 14 early, which was less than the difference in the total of the game. They only won by 10. So if not for the big first quarter by USC, this game could have went a total different way. USC put up 278 yards of total offense while giving up 228 to Penn State. They ran 48 plays with a 5.8 yard per play average. They had 76 rushing yards and added 202 passing yards to the air and 3 passing touchdowns. USC went 9-13 for 69% on third down while holding the Nittany Lions to 4 of 8 for 50%. Number 2, Oregon hosting Houston. Oregon put it on the Cougars 44-13. Last week, Oregon got the Beavers, and this week they got the Cougars. Make of that what you will. Total offense for Oregon, 379 total yards. They had 22 first downs. They averaged 6.9 yards a play. They rushed for 124 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown while throwing for 255 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns. The Ducks were 4 of 9 on third down conversion for 44%. Now we jump down to the SEC. SEC number 7 UCF at Akron, 38-10. UCF had 31 first downs, 530 yards of total offense. They ran 67 plays, averaging 7.9 yards a play. They rushed for 52 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns and a horrible 2.6 yards per rush. But that's okay because they put up 478 yards through the air, 3 receiving touchdowns, and they went 8 of 10 on third downs for 80%. Arkansas at Missouri. Arkansas coming back with a vengeance as they put up 40 on the Missouri Tigers and walk out of Missouri a victory 40-14. Arkansas had 22 first downs, 390 yards of total offense. They averaged 5.8 yards a play. They had 75 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 315 passing yards with 3 passing touchdowns while going 8 of 15 on third down for 53%. The shining spot on the day, the Razorbacks held the Missouri Tigers to 1 of 11 for only 9% on third down. Number 6, Miami hosting their FCS team. They put up 70, only allowing 14. That's kind of what we expected from that one. Miami had 29 first downs, 612 yards of total offense. They ran 61 plays, averaged 10 yards a play. They had 372 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns while averaging 8.9 yards a carry. They also threw for 240 passing yards and 4 passing touchdowns while going 5 of 9 on third down conversions for 55%. Number 5, Oklahoma hosted number 12, Alabama. 38 for the Sooners, 24 for the Tide, and it's another victory for Oklahoma at home. Taking a quick look at the stats. 22 first downs for Oklahoma, 18 for Alabama. Alabama put up 318 yards of total offense. They ran 50 plays for a 6.4 yard per play. They had 47 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown while throwing for 271 yards to the air and 2 passing touchdowns. Alabama Crimson Tide went 8 of 9 on third down conversions for 88%. Jumping over to Oklahoma, they had 433 yards of total offense. They ran 57 plays, averaged 7.6 yards a play. They had 112 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and they added 321 passing yards to the air and 4 passing touchdowns while going 11 of 13 for 84% on third downs. Number 22, Texas at Mississippi State. Texas pulls out the victory 38-17. Taking a quick look at the stats. Texas had 21 first downs, 354 yards of total offense. They ran 54 plays, averaged 6.6 yards a play. They rushed for 90 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, added 264 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown, and went 2 for 5 on third down for 40% on the day. Now we're going to take a quick look at Week 5 games. In the ACC, Florida State is at Tennessee. Number 14, North Carolina visiting number 13, Clemson. Number 17, Georgia Tech is visiting number 16, Pittsburgh. That should be a good one. We'll mark that down as one of the games of the week. The line on that one, I've got Pittsburgh minus 7.5. They got to win by more than a touchdown to cover. Arizona State is going to be at number 8, Ole Miss. That game has gone final. The Sun Devils stun the Rebels 38-21. And Georgia hosts Virginia Tech. Now we move over to the Big 12. Number 9, Texas A&M at Houston. Auburn at Kansas. In the Big 10. Number 2, Oregon at number 10, Penn State. That's going to be a good game to watch there, folks. And your number 1, the game of the week, the one everybody should be watching. Number 3, Notre Dame at number 4, Ohio State. The line on that one is Ohio State plus 3.5. Washington is going to be at UCLA, and number 24, Michigan, is going to visit number 19, Nebraska. Now we jump down to the SEC. Number 7, UCF at Arkansas. Number 22, Texas at number 12, Alabama. Mississippi State at number 5, Oklahoma. Number 11, Florida is visiting Death Valley as they have LSU. And Marshall visits number 6, Miami. That's a look at your games for that. Now we're going to jump into your top 3 offensive and defensive performances of the week. Starting with the offense. Pittsburgh running back Alfonso, the franchise brand. He had 12 carries, 215 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, and he averaged 17.9 yards a carry. And he had 4 20-plus yard runs on the day. Ohio State running back Rocco Franco, the Buckeye Bulldozer. He had 23 carries, 209 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, averaged 9.1 yards a carry, and he had 3 20-plus yard runs on the day. Miami running back Greg GB24 Burrell, 17 carries, 183 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 10.8 yards a carry and had 2 20-plus yard runs on the day. Honorable mention on the week, Oregon quarterback Julian Lewis, who went 21-31 for 67%, 255 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, and only 1 interception as he bounces back from last week's ouch performance of the week. Now on to your top 3 defensive performances of last week. Oklahoma linebacker Ty Jackson had 8 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and added 2 interceptions on the day. Your Michigan linebacker Ben Elam had 6 tackles, 1 pass breakup, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries on his way to a top defensive performance of the week. Texas A&M defensive end Kendall K.J. Jackson had 8 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, and 5 sacks. An honorable mention on the defensive side of the ball, Georgia Tech linebacker Braylon Big Papa Griggs had 17 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, and added a pass breakup for good measure. That's been your outlook on the week, score breakdown from last week, and your top 3 offensive and defensive performances. Until next time, this is Coach Dub. signing off.